Well, welcome back to our continuation of our series on St. Francis and Franciscan Spirituality, journeying with Francis and how he and his way of approaching the world and the gospel can help us all live a more gospel life. Yesterday I talked about vocation, and particularly in regards to a personal vocation. However, the Franciscan spirituality doesn't stop with just a personal vocation. Our personal vocation then leads us into a community vocation, a corporate vocation. We can't actually exercise our own vocations outside that of a community. And one of the unique things of St. Francis was that he developed a community around the principles that he was given, the vocation he was given. His personal vocation then extended into a community vocation. What he was called to do then started to draw others to him. And he had a real vision of a community of love based around some key gospel passages which influenced effectively the whole Franciscan order. The other thing that Francis knew was that you can't have your vocation outside of the church. So the Church Universal or Church Catholic and coming under that banner and authority was very important to Francis. And it is one of the reasons why some of us, like myself, stay within a church denomination, because we need the authority and discipline that comes with that authority over us. But Francis wasn't like some of the other monastic orders he didn't have a vision for a monastic order in the start. He wanted a community of love, a missional community, we would call it today, of people without rank or favor that came together to spread the gospel message, to proclaim the gospel, to preach the gospel, and to preach that gospel of Christ's love in the world, and to show what that looks like in their own lives. And Francis was a prime example of this. So when Francis started out with his vision to rebuild the church and started to literally do that by building and reestablishing derelict churches around Assisi, he started then to draw people to him once he started preaching. And one of the key passages for Francis that changed his understanding of how he was to be was the passage that he heard, where the kingdom of heaven has come go proclaim the good news, the kingdom of heaven has come near, cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. You received without payment, give without payment. Take no gold or silver or copper in your belts, no bag for your journey, or 2 tunics, or sandals, or a staff. For laborers deserve their food. Whatever town or village you enter, find who in it is worthy, and stay there until you leave. As you enter a house, greet it. If the house is worthy, your peace will come upon it. And this prompted Francis to realize, well, that's how he was called to live, and he took it exceptionally literally. He was already in his hermit garment that we've come to know Francis in, that brown tunic. And he basically, on hearing this, took off his shoes, got rid of his staff, his bag, his coat, his leather belt, and that's when he started to wear the string around his waist, because a belt in those days was where you kept your money. You kept your money in the belt. So it was a symbol of getting rid of all of those trappings of this world, all the means by which to sustain oneself, and having a full trust in God and his gospel. And it became an underpinning of the Franciscan movement. And even today, as you see, First Order Franciscans, they will wear a string girdle around their waist as opposed to a belt. And so he had there's the other passages that he had come to him were again the same. Take nothing for your journey. Sell all your possessions if you want to be perfect. If you want to be my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross. And these key passages became the foundation of Francis's rule. They were literally transcribed from the Gospels into the rule. And Francis was quite clear in his vocation that he was starting something very new, and he wasn't starting something like the existing monastic communities like the Benedictines or Augustines or St. Bernard's, who all had their own rules, but they'd become lax in many of their ways. And most of their rules were about governance of a community living in a monastery. And therefore you had hierarchies of abbots and prior and lay brothers, and so you had this hierarchical structure. Franciscan spirituality is not like that. There is no hierarchical structure. Yes, we come under the authority of the church, which comes under the authority of Christ, but that's the only hierarchy Franciscans have. We are, if you are a Franciscan, you are either a brother or a sister. We are all equal. There are no grandchildren, as they say, in Franciscan spirituality. We are all brothers and sisters in Christ, no matter what your worldly status may well have been. And it's that invites us into a community of love. A community of love under the authority of the church, to live out that other passage in the gospel, the commandment that Jesus gave in John 13, to love one another as he loved us, so that all people will know what it means to be Christ's disciples, because we have love for one another. That's the community vocation that came out of Franciscan spirituality. And as we're about to start our Sunday morning service and gather as a community, I invite us to hold on to those wonderful principles of the Franciscan life of a community of love, where no one is greater than the other. Whether you wear a dog collar or you don't, or whether you're wearing shorts and ripped jeans, or whether you're in a suit, doesn't make a scrap of difference in the house of God, in the community of God. So let us join together as a community of love, so that the whole world may see what it looks like to follow Christ.